I get asked most. And we're going to cover everything social media. So if there are any specific questions that you guys have in the chat section, please don't hesitate to throw them out. I know, like, I was having a conversation with a girl this morning and she was like, my biggest fear in this business, or like getting started in this business, is that I'm going to have to become like this spammy person. And I'm like, okay, so let me address a couple of the concerns that you had. My first question is, when you read my post, do you feel like I'm spammy or salesy? And she was like, no, not at all. I'm like, so why do you think that's what I would want you to do? And she's like, oh, I didn't think about it like that. She's like, well, I just don't want it to be like pyramid scheming. I'm like, so look those up, because those are illegal. That's a whole nother thing. And like, you are basically putting all these objections in front that aren't really real. And so in the chat section, I would love to hear what your guys' biggest concerns are before we just launch. So we have an idea before we start launching into sharing how you share. Because I think there is truly something beautiful when you become a storyteller and you are able to start connecting with people authentically. And I know for myself, that is exactly how I built my business. I've used my social media platform to connect with other women who felt the same way I did. And so my first thing for you guys tonight is I want you to think about 5 to 10 experiences that you've had in your life that aren't necessarily Beachbody, and start speaking to those things. And actually 5 to 10 might be too wide. Maybe it's 3 to 5, right? So I talk about sobriety. I talk about my faith. I talk about motherhood. I talk about marriage. I talk about finances. And then I also talk about the total solution, which includes nutrition, effective at-home workouts, this amazing community. And I tie them all into one. Beachbody does not have to be your life, but it gives you the ability to live the life that you want. Okay, let me say that again. Beachbody does not have to be your life. We do not expect you to come into this business and then just go on and post every post that you put up, have it be Beachbody. That is going to get you blocked. That is going to get you muted. That is going to get people not wanting to follow you. They want to know who you are. So talk to them about the things that you've come through, right? What baggage have you had to carry, and how can you help somebody else carry that? Is it an eating disorder? Is it postpartum and motherhood? Is it a struggle in your marriage? Is it financial struggles? Is it feeling like you're doing all this work in your workouts, but you didn't nail your nutrition? So now you're dialing that in and you're bringing it back because that is the missing link. Is it your husband getting off of blood pressure medication 40 days after he started drinking Shakeology? And you know that's going to give him a longer, healthier life. And you know that there's other people out there who are pre-diabetic or taking blood pressure medication, are losing families due to preventable diseases, right? So you're just becoming a storyteller. I could go on and on about this, specifically on the storytelling, but I'm gonna be quiet. Abs, you wanna step in?
Oh, wait, I'm not muted. I thought I was for a second. Yeah, sorry, I was late. I was getting the kids set up. Yeah, I think all of this, and I remember, guys, I've said this, if you're on my team, you might have heard me say this before, but it took me 6 months of posting every single day before I vividly remember the first day I made a post and I didn't have to like stop and like stress and think over it. And like, I mean, and it still takes some time, but that was 6 months. And back when all of us started, you had to do an actual like post 3 to 5 times a day. We don't have to do that now. And so that's a lot. I mean, if you multiply that 6 months, 3 times a day, that's a lot of posts. So if you're feeling like, oh my gosh, this is hard, or, whatever you're telling yourself, that's normal. That's a part of the learning process. And for me, it took 6 months of showing up every day to kind of find my voice and my vibe and how I wanted to share about it. And it's changed over the last 5 years even, but don't rob yourself. If you've done 30-day breakaway, I love Dallas. She was saying the other day, she's like, don't rob yourself of the opportunity to get better. And that happens when it's hard. That happens in those growing pains. And so social media is one of those that I think the start stops so many of us. But the hard, cold facts is you can grow this business in person. I don't want to do that. Doing parties is like, it sounds like torture to me. I'm a huge introvert. Like, I don't want to do that. But you can go do stuff in person. You can. But the truth is, if you're not putting yourself out there, like Melissa said, if you're not sharing your story, if you're not making posts, nobody is going to find you. Nobody is going to know. And they're honestly, guys, not just going to come to you because you share one transformation photo 6 months ago or do something that you're working out. It has to be consistent. I worked in sales before I was a coach, and we knew that statistically 80% of a conversion came from at least 18 touch points. And what we would mean by those touch points in my job would be like an email, a phone call, someone getting a flyer in the mail, like 18 different interactions with them. And so that's where your consistency in posting, that's what that is, right? Where it's like they see your post, then maybe they like go off Instagram for 2 days and they see another post and they see your story, then you're like, it's that many times. And so your proof of your consistency in this is really the power in your story. So that was like, that's why it's so important. And it's hard. There's days where we don't want to post. But okay, perfect. Michaela, my biggest struggle is getting enough catchy photos or talking to my dream team specifically. Those are 2 good ones. I guarantee those are other people's.
Michaela, would you mind unmuting yourself maybe and sharing a little bit more? Like what specifically do you struggle with? Is it clarity of who your dream team is?
Well, I love like being on all the calls and people are always saying, you know, your posts, you want your stories and your posts to talk to your dream team. You want to talk to those people that you want on your team. And I think for me, I like to try to generalize it because I'm such a new coach, and I'm like just trying to get anybody and everybody on my team. So I think for me is, you know, really finding like my niche and talking to the people that I really want on my team. So
I think that's super great clarity. And I think Abby and Melissa are in it too. Shalene Johnson does a phenomenal Instagram training. It's $27, and in there is a specific niche training, and she's so good about it because she's like, and we've heard it, like if you talk to everyone, you're talking to no one. And sometimes we're just so afraid. I think we all go through that. We're so afraid to niche down because we don't want to leave anyone out, and we don't want to. It comes from that lack mindset of like I don't want to like only speak to moms because then what about the other women who I could reach who aren't moms, you know? And so that's totally normal and part of the growth process. I would get really specific and write down like who's Michaela, who are you, and what brings you joy? Do you have those people in your life that you're like, I could really just spend a weekend with you and I would I would walk away feeling restored? What are those characteristics? Because we know there's people in our lives who we like, but if I spent a weekend with them, I would be drained. You know, so those kinds of things are helpful for me to get clarity on exactly. So like my Instagram bio for a while said, I help Jesus loving, concealed carrying, patriot moms. Like that's very, very, very specific. But if I came across someone who had that, I'd be like, oh my gosh, she's speaking to me, you know? And so when you really get clear on what brings you joy and speak to those people are going to find you and it's going to click, but it is a process.
I want to jump in on that really quick too, because it's 200% everything Jess said. And one thing that was really helped me, and you can apply this to both talking about like the fitness and coaching, like both, it works for both, is to write down, like literally write down if you need to, or at least mentally go through like, who were you before Beachbody? So with workouts, like on the fitness side, you know, who were you with your nutrition or your workouts? Like what were your pain points? What were your struggles? What were you self-conscious about? Like, why did you like all of those things? And then same with the business, you can be like, you know, what was your goal? All these things. So for me, I know, okay, the girl that I'm talking to, because where I was before I got invited to a challenge group is I was postpartum. I was never massively struggled with my weight, but after I had kids, like felt super lost. I didn't have time. I was YouTubing or Pinteresting like random stuff that wasn't cohesive and trying to figure it out. I did not, if you ever tell me I have to give up carbs or chocolate, I will bite you. Like I don't do keto, like that's not happy for me. So if I'm talking about fitness, the type of gal that I'm going to work really, really well with is going to be that, like maybe a super busy mom or super busy gal who, wants a fitness routine. I'm not the person who can coach someone who needs to lose 400 pounds, because that's not my story. But I can coach the gal who's like, give me 30 minutes, give me a clear plan, tell me I can have chocolate twice a week and still get results, so those kinds of words resonate with my people. And then same with the business side. It took me a really long time to honestly have the guts to say, because I don't know, I was in my head about it, that I never wanted to be a stay-at-home mom. I really like to work. And I freaking love my kids. But once I could start talking about the business as, for me, this is what's going to allow me to come home and be present with my kids like I want, but also give me that thing that's mine, that resonates with a really specific type of coach who's going to work well with me. So most likely your ideal client, your ideal customer is going to be you rewound 3 months or 3 years or whatever that is. So kind of think like, where were you before you started? I don't know if you have things.
Yeah. So the other thing that I was going to say is sitting down and thinking about your vision. And I know you, have a really incredible story. And I think it's pulling that out and sharing bits and pieces of that more, but speaking to, just like Jess and Abby are saying, is speaking to who you want to work with, right? It's not people who are depressed. It's not people who are stuck in their addiction and their scarcity mindset. It's helping people come through that and get out of their own way and, want to dream. But what is it that you want in the next 5 years? And put that down and start as a vision, like, what furniture do you want in your house? Like, what car do you want to drive? Like, what job do you want to have? If it's coaching, like, how many hours a week are you working? How much money's in your bank account? And look at that vision every single day. And when you go to make a post, read your vision and think about, is this fueling that, or am I just posting to post? Because it's not 2014 where we had to post 3 to 5 times a day to get traction. But if you can get one really engaging post and you can connect with people, I promise you, like, this week has been, I don't know, I was like really praying, like, Lord, I need to feel excited. And not that I didn't come back from the retreat fired that heck up, but I felt a little bit overwhelmed. And when you're a leader, you're constantly pouring out into other people. And I still felt like I needed to be poured into, Lord. Like, why do I still feel like I need a break? And I just feel like he's reminding me to continue, stay focused on who I need to serve and really focus on that servant leadership. And so I think you're incredible. I think it's really just figuring out, who do I want to spend my time with? Because again, just like Jess said, if you're speaking to everyone, nobody's listening and you become white noise. Your post today was incredible, talking about how you feel so great in your pants. Next time, have a picture with it. Because pictures,
I meant to, yes.
Yeah, pictures are going to tell a story, right? You're talking about the confidence that you have, that they were your, you said something specific.
Yeah, my muffin top jeans.
Your muffin top jeans. Like, I could read that and I could picture a muffin top. And then you spoke about how confident and comfortable you feel slipping into those now, right? That's somebody else right there too. So continue doing those things, but then also speaking to people that you want to build this business with, because that's when the business gets really fun, is when you find your people. Like when Jess was saying, like, who can you go spend an entire weekend with? Like, I literally could spend my whole life with Bailey. I could, because she fills my cup. I say she's the 10-year younger version of myself. Like, we are like the same, right? So really thinking about, who do you want to spend your time with? Like, I'm so freaking excited about Super Saturday. I'm so freaking excited about Summit, because those are human interactions. Who do you want to bring with you on those trips? And getting really clear with, right, that's why Bailey's my person, as she's eating and cooking on this call. Listen, I'm really working on my nutrition right now, okay? But really just saying, like, these are the people that I want to spend my time with, right? Like, when I get on these calls, just like you, my cup gets filled. That call that Maddie, we jumped on last night, where Christina Battaglia was like just preaching fire. I'm like, yeah, give it to me. So just go and become who you are called to be, step into that power. And if you want to, like, I know for me, I was really like hesitant to like speak about the Lord, because I was like, oh great, people are going to be like, oh yeah, this chicken recovery, and I know what you did before, but you have to stop worrying about what anyone else thinks. And guess what? I probably lost a lot of people, but I'm finding the right ones. And even the people, I had a girl the other day who said, I'm an atheist and I follow you because you always are authentic. And I was like, whoa, if that's not telling me that I'm doing something right, that's incredible, right? So I just want you have an incredible gift. You're doing incredible. You've already locked in Success Club. You're on your way to be for your 3rd month next month to becoming that success starter. You have what it takes. It's just stepping into that confidence, which does take time. It's like exercise, it's building a muscle.
For photos, guys, that's going to be something, again, you're going to get better at. But a few practical tips that I use, and I'm sure Jessica and Melissa have great ones too. When I was working full time, I would do photos on the weekends. When I was like at home, I'd usually do them on a Sunday if I had like makeup on, and I just switch out shirts. You don't have to post in real time, meaning like if you took a picture on Sunday, it's okay to post that picture on Tuesday. Like nobody cares. So stock up on photos, do different poses. You can put your video on, you can Google this, but like on 4K, if you have an iPhone, flip it, you can do a bunch of photos as like a video and screenshot those so they can be more natural. So just do a bunch, batch it out. If you kind of know, okay, Monday, I'm going to do a post about motivation. Tuesday, I'm going to do transformation. Even if you don't have your posts written, you can kind of get an idea. My husband makes fun of me all the time. I do have a tripod and a ring light now, but I just got that this year. I've done this for 5 years without it. I will say it was absolutely worth the investment, but even to this day, if I don't want to haul it around, I set my phone up on like my Recover and Energize. I like prop them and use them as like a tripod, just random stuff around the house. So like, don't stress about the photos, but they do have to be like eye-catching. So our house does not have a lot of natural light. I live in the Pacific Northwest, so it's really dark. So I will do my photos in the same places in my house where there's a window or in front of our garage, or the ring light solves all your problems, which is why it's the best thing ever. So those you'll get better at. And then the other thing that I do, and again, I'll let Melissa share their strategies, but I will look at, like, if I'm scrolling, don't go like copy other coaches' stuff. That's not cool. But if I'm like, wow, I know so-and-so does a really great job with her social media, I will save or screenshot the photo and like mimic it. And it's pathetic. Like literally be like, okay, my leg goes here and I'll hold the cup like this. And it's just so sad because I'm not natural. I'm not a model. This is not my, like, but I will kind of like recreate those types of things. So that's like photos. You just kind of have to rip the Band-Aid and just take a bunch and you're going to figure it out. Shalene Johnson, it's Insta Club Hub. Jessica, you guys were looking for that.
I think it's so, and you're gonna always hear slightly different tips from all of us, which is important. It's so important for you to know you, right? So Madison, I do not do well planning pictures or planning posts. I think stockpiling pictures is awesome. I've always been in the moment person, and so you have to do what works best for you. So for me, and this is where like vulnerability and authenticity is really helpful on social media too, because now you're white noise if you don't share some like the heart with it. You know, nobody wants to see Maddie. No one wants to see someone who's perfect all the time and doesn't. It's like you're not real. Like I shared them getting on a conference call, and that the only thing that lives in my daughter's crib is our laundry. You know, like that could be a picture, or that's in my stories, and it builds trust. So I think that sometimes we overthink things. Learn, like watch some free YouTube videos on how to take brighter pictures. Have your light, like there's an iPhone trick where you tap your camera and you scroll up and it will brighten the screen. I learned that on a free iPhone photography training, you know, using white walls. It took me forever to figure out Lightroom, but once I did and messed with the right filters, and I was like, oh, I love the way that this looks. All my family has blue eyes, so it's, you know, we have more of a blue hint to that, and so it's quicker. I knew none of this for my first 3 years of coaching. So if it stops you from posting because you're like, I just don't know enough about pictures, post anyways. Like that, the biggest mistake you could do, I think, in social media is to overthink it and not be consistent. Consistency, I think, and authenticity are the most important, and engagement, and then all the other stuff you're gonna learn, sister. Speaking of, everyone should take like a video or a picture of this call and put it in your stories. If you haven't, do that right now and share it. This is part of your job. This is part of working, is that you get to learn, you get free social media training from a toddler. So there's just little pieces of your day, I think is super important.
Yeah, absolutely. With everything that the girls said, I'm kind of like Jess. I do not plan out a ton of content. However, I know what I'm going to talk about most of the time around those like 5 topics that I always do, whether it be sobriety and recovery, motherhood, marriage, this business, the Lord, like anything like that, right? So, and then the other thing is, as far as like, I know sometimes people are like, well, I've never been to an event. I don't have, team pictures and stuff like that. Guess what? People are coming to you. So that's okay. And I had something really good and I was going to say it. Oh, so for Diesel Nation, we do have a Instagram training that Monica Lopez and Christina Delgado did like 2 years ago. And it's called Instagram Make It Sexy. So I can add you into that. It's like 5 days worth, but you could literally binge it just like you binge freaking Netflix. Like you could binge and watch that and get tons of tips for absolutely free. But just like Jess said, the consistency piece is critical. Like if you ghost and don't show up for 3 days, people aren't going to take you serious. They want to join the coach who shows up regularly. And I always tell people the speed of the leader, the speed of the pack. Like when you make a commitment to something and you start showing up for it, everyone else is going to. Here's an example. I got really bold and vulnerable about my nutrition. Guess everyone's doing nutrition right now. Everyone is so dialed in on their nutrition. Everyone is using their containers because I was bold and I said that, right? So really just thinking about what that looks like. And I would caution you guys on using any of those. I freaking hate Snapchat filters. Like, please don't do that. People want to see your face. They don't want to see cat ears.
Yes.
Unless I can't. Like, stop putting the filters over your face like that. Like, be you and have a clear, like, your profile picture, especially on Facebook, is basically your business card. So if you need to go and change it, absolutely go and do that and make it something of you, not you and your dog, not you and, heck of crap behind you. Like, just get a nice picture of yourself and put it up there, whether it's one of your, sports bra pictures, if that's what you want to do, or just, a headshot that you take by yourself, but just get a nice quality picture. I have a family picture up there right now. But like, I feel like everyone on Facebook knows my family. They follow me for updates on my family, right? So really just thinking about those things. What else around pictures and social media? Something else that can really help you. I know this is so stupid, but so many people don't realize if you just wipe the lens on your camera, it makes a huge difference in the quality. And just like Abby was saying, tap the screen and it'll change the quality too. And don't go and use like, I don't know. I actually would like to get away from presets. I don't love them every time I get one, and I buy like the expensive ones. I feel like they just get very washed out, where I'd really like my bright, bold picture. But really find one that's good. But again, if you scroll my social and you go back to 2012, hold on. Yeah, so Jessica's got a baby that's going crazy, and I have 2 preteen and teenage boys. But if you were to scroll back to my Instagram feed, it's awful, you guys, like terrible. So just like Jess said, just post it because you will improve over time. And the value of just getting in front of a window and getting some natural light in makes a tremendous difference. Oh, and then the other thing I was going to say about social media is please do not use it as your diary to go on and talk about your crappy relationship or, you know, how the lady in the check stand ticked you off or anything like that. Not saying you can't be real and vulnerable and things like that, because you can, but you are going to attract what you put out there. And so I will put out a post talking about how I've had a hard mom day, but I will also talk about giving yourself grace or finding some sort of solution. I heard this thing where it said, like, don't talk about the season that you're in until you've figured out a way to get out of it. I don't necessarily always believe that, because I think if you're in a season, sometimes you need that community, but you do have to be intentional on how you post. Because if you're posting your relationship drama, that's going to, number one, people are going to be like, what the hell is going on with that? And number two, when you're back in love in a week and you're not pissed off about something, guess what? People are going to be like, they're like on again, off again. And then they're going to start judging you on your relationship versus wanting to follow you because of who you are as a business owner. Sorry. Just those are a couple of social media tips that I think are very important.
I agree. I think there's such a balance of being vulnerable and being solutions oriented. And that's like the hardest part, I think, with coaching, right, is the internal journey. It's our internal working through our own self-limiting beliefs, our own doubts, our own insecurities, our own baggage, our own stuff from the past we're like, you realize through coaching as you do personal development how much, wow, that's my truth maybe wasn't true. And like processing through all that. I would say I've said something over the years that's really resonated with other new coaches, and it's, you're never a new coach again. You only have one opportunity. And something that I would have done in hindsight, if I would have realized how powerful it would have been, is I would have shared learning about the business. I would, along the way, I wouldn't have waited until I was successful or until I made $1,000 a month. I would have said, okay, so I'm doing this coaching thing, and here's the part that I'm struggling with, how to do this while working full time in a prison. How do I do this? Like, do I just earn commission? I don't know. So this week I'm going to learn about it, and I'm going to study the compensation plan because it doesn't make any sense to me. And then I would do maybe a series on IGTV about learning about coaching, about how the compensation plan, or learning about how to grow your market. And as you learn, you can teach people publicly. And what that's done for me on YouTube is I get people from around the world researching Beachbody coaching. They come across my videos, and all of a sudden, because I taught it, I'm someone who's trustworthy in the business, and they will come to me for business to join, to be one of the coaches on my team. So there's so much opportunity, and where you guys are at right now, even though you feel like maybe as a new coach, I don't know enough, I don't have the experience. So then you just learn it. Like, pick one thing a week that you want to learn about, and then teach other people publicly, and your people are going to come to you for business advice. And so I just want to touch on that. How many of you have not shared your coming out post, like have not shared that you're a Beachbody coach or a coach in general, that you have this? I'm just curious. Or has everybody done that? How often do you guys like reintroduce yourself and say like, hey, this is what I'm doing? I don't know if everyone's like busy tonight. I'm just curious because I think it's important as you're growing your network. Remember that you are the only person in the world that sees every single post that you put up. And someone told that to me, and it was a really good reminder, because I used to think like, oh my gosh, I was finally vulnerable and I finally shared my story, and now everyone's going to know all about me. Not true. Like maybe 10 people out of the thousands, right? You have to constantly revisit that story and constantly reintroduce yourself and constantly tell people what you have to offer over and over and over again, and just maybe through a different lens. And I can't remember, there's a few top coaches. I want to say Jess Dukes did this, and maybe Holly Hillier. I don't know if they still do, but I was studying their social media, and you would say every Monday they almost had the same posts, or like the first of the month is almost the same exact post rewritten, and they would repeat and repeat and repeat. And as a repetition, like Abby was saying, those touch points I think are really powerful to drive people, like continuously get new eyes on who you are and what you have to offer.
So the next thing I wanted to just chat with you guys about is making sure that you're expanding your network on social media. It's so important. I talk to people all the time that they're like, I don't know enough people, or I feel like I've already talked to everyone in my network. And so that's why it's important why when you're doing a power hour that you're spending 10 to 15 minutes and you're going and intentionally finding new people to be friends with. And when I say be friends with, I don't want new followers. I want people that are going to engage in my post. I want to get to know other people. And so I'm going to go and say Jess isn't a coach on my team, but I think she's really badass and she's got this incredible story and I've been inviting her and she won't. But I know Jess is connected with a lot of really empowering women. I might go and see like who Jess's friends are because maybe there's someone in her contact list that I would connect with, right? And that would want to link arms and do this with me. The other thing is I'm going to go to, because my business's foundation is built on faith. I'm going to go to other women who are rooted in faith that are not in my business. And I'm going to go and search their network too. Okay. And then I'm going to go to like my favorite influencer. There's this woman, I go to her page all the time and I check the comments on her post because people are so engaged on what she's posting and it's clothes and her baby and her husband, like literally. And I'm like, I love clothes. I love a discount. She's always giving deals. Those are my people, right? And if I go to their page and the first thing is they have like a Bible verse at the top or they talk about they're in recovery or they're a hot mess mom, I'm like, follow. Right now, if I go to their page and they have 78 pictures of their cat, I probably won't follow them. That's just my thing, right? So you have to find your people. So it's literally just going and doing that and making those connections. And then once you do, you have to connect with them. Okay. Hear me when I say you have to go and get connected with these people. Just like you want people to comment on your stuff and like your stuff and watch your stories, go do that. That is like the biggest piece of doing it. And honestly, I feel like Facebook is like my family and my home and everybody like, but on Instagram, I can make all these new friends. And I feel like when you go and follow new people on Instagram, it's not weird. You're not getting those messages where you're like, do we know each other? It's not. They expect you to follow them, right? So that's just another piece that I wanted to really touch on the social media piece is you absolutely have to expand your network because if not, you are going to talk to the same 10 people that are seeing your post, right?
Hey, could we do, Melissa and Abby, would you mind, and Michaela, would you mind if we did like a super quick not case study, but Michaela, if you are in a place where you can unmute yourself and where you could tell us about you and we could tell you like, okay, based on what you've just told us about you, these are the kinds of accounts where I would go find people. Is that okay with you guys? I think it might be helpful for everyone. Are you okay with
and
that?
you guys, if you're like not able to unmute and you want to type in like your info, drop it in the chat because we can give you kind of like an audit.
Michaela, are you okay with that?
Yeah, I'm totally fine with that.
So tell us a little bit about like, who are you? What are the biggest things about who Michaela is?
I grew up in a small town of Clear Lake. I had pretty much always had a weight problem my whole life, and that hindered me from like pretty much having friends. I knew I always wanted to be a teacher, so I did go that route, but now I'm looking towards speech therapy. Now that I've joined Beachbody though, it's literally, I mean, it's changed my entire vision on life. Like I don't want to work. I want to do Beachbody. Like that's my job now. So that's my goal I'm working towards right now.
I love it. What are some of your hobbies?
See, that's the thing. Like I don't do much. Before I joined Beachbody, I sit at home, I go to work and I sit at home and I do nothing, I rarely go out with friends, so
do you have like TV shows you love or blogs you like to follow? Like what do you like to do? Like even you're just sitting at home, like what do you have on? Or what are you binging?
Don't judge me, but I'm obsessed with like paranormal type things or like murder, like true crime. Okay. I'm like completely obsessed. And I do like, that's actually a good point to make because there are a few like groups I'm in where I've made connections with some people. So that is a good place to start, I would say.
Talk about your past a little bit if you're comfortable.
Yeah. So like 2 weeks before I graduated high school, I started using meth, and just kind of got into a pretty bad place. I didn't even walk at my own graduation, and I used on and off for about like 4 years before I checked into a rehab. And actually, before I even finished my time at the rehab, I was hired as an executive assistant to the owner. So that was pretty cool. Like I got married at a young age, still married. Haven't gotten divorced. My dad got shot by his wife's ex-husband. And this all happened up here. So like I've got plenty of stories to tell. It's just like finding just like how to tell them. I just have to start.
Talk to me about what you want for your future.
I want to help people. I want to be somebody. That's like one of my things is I felt like I've never had a purpose or even a hobby, that I really feel like I've never had something I'm super passionate about. So what was the question again?
What do you like when you think about the future? What do you want?
So I definitely want to be somebody that people can look up to. I want to be somebody that can make a positive impact in other people's lives. Those people are rare, I feel like, these days. And yeah, I want to be a positive influence for other people and to share my story. I am open with my story. I'll tell anybody that wants to hear it, so I think having that voice and using it is going to be important in my future.
Do you have any financial goals for your family?
Not living paycheck to paycheck would be definitely number one. I would love to get my dad in a more comfortable house. He's disabled, so just in a nice, cleaner, more accessible area.
Do you want kids?
I want kids bad. I have some fertility issues. I'm not really sure what they are yet. But I've never been pregnant.
Right now we're pulling this out of you.
I know. I'm like, I'm so hot right now. You can't even tell. I'm like hot.
We're trying to uncover your story, but also your why.
Yeah.
So you're thinking about, as you're building this, your future kids, you're building this for them, but you're also building this for your dad. You're building this for your legacy. And as you share your story, it's like it seems like, and correct me if I'm wrong, you're very passionate because for a long time you felt like you had no purpose. And maybe ask yourself, why did I start using meth? What was it that attracted me to that? Was it numbing? Was it the community in a sense?
It made me skinny.
Okay. And that, that's so powerful. And if you're willing to share your story, I can't help the people you can help, like at a deep level. And you want, like, it gives me chills. You will save people's lives, sister, with your passion and your heart to help people go from feeling like they have no purpose to fueled with passion for life. And that's your calling. Wow. And that's your message every day, is how do you make that decision every day and reflect on pieces of your story. I remember when I first started using meth. I did it because I felt like I had value in being skinny because of X, Y, and Z, and telling your story that way. Now I get to help other women struggling with their purpose, finding purpose in their life, find their true identity and who they really are and what matters, and help them lose weight in a healthy way. Like that's just an example, but
yeah.
Gosh, Michaela, thank you for sharing. That's like, I mean, what we get to do is such a privilege, and your story, like Jess said, like you can reach people that we can't. And even like as you were talking, where you're like, don't judge me, like paranormal show, like you instantly like are like, oh, it's gonna be, but like, so like on a lighter note, like it doesn't all have to be heavy, but you can even like have that be like a funny reoccurring theme in your story, like just like doing polls about it. As you're talking about your goals for your future, maybe saying like, I thought I was on this path, but like X, Y, and Z has happened. And, you know, even sharing like, one of my big goals is to be able to help my dad, and like, let me introduce you to him. And not, you don't have to like put him on Instagram if you don't want to, but like that, like taking people on that journey, because the messy middle of your story, that's what empowers people that they can do it too. I think so often we want to wait until we've, like Jess said, like we've hit these goals, or we have the perfect photos, or the income, or the transformation story. But like the messy bumps along the road, whether it's meth and hard, deep, heavy things, or just that your kids don't sleep and you have laundry you can't keep up on, like it doesn't matter. That's what empowers people to truly believe they can do it too. And as you get those little wins along the way, that's going to be so inspiring to others as you can show up. I think airing our dirty laundry, like Melissa was saying, like nobody needs more of that. We get enough drama these days, but allowing people to see your vulnerability and authenticity through it as you move forward with vision and purpose, like that is what's truly inspiring to people. So own like your funny quirks, own the paranormal stuff, like own all of that, because that's what makes you unique. You know, I'm obsessed with Kate Middleton. I just bought boots that she has. Like my husband makes fun of me. It's a reoccurring thing, and my people tag me like, and I'm like, you know what? I just love freaking Kate Middleton. I don't know. So like it just even owning that like can create some camaraderie. Or the IVF stuff. Like maybe now you were working out to be skinny, and like now you're working out to figure out your own health, and like to be able to have a family and like give them what you didn't have, or all, you know, like you can just tie it all in together there. My kids are being loud on me.
And one of the things that I have really been thinking about, especially with new coaches, is like, yes, we have these long-term visions, but thinking about our short-term vision. Is it like when I first got started, I wanted to be able to pay my car payment. I wanted to be able to go get a manicure without having to like check the bank account. I wanted to, I know this sounds crazy, but I wanted to go to the grocery store without checking the bank account. And I know that sounds crazy, but those were like little things that I was like, wait, this is helping me with that. And we were making decent money, but we were still living paycheck to paycheck. We were literally drowning in daycare bills. But then as it got bigger, it was like, okay, so it's paying my car payment. I'm covering my shakes. Like I'm paying for daycare with my coaching funds. Like maybe I could come home, right? And start thinking about those things. Today, I was able to book our flights for a trip for 3 weeks for my family of 5 to Mexico. And Beachbody is only covering my husband and I, so I have to pay for my kids when we get to the resort. But like, I was able to do that without like, oh shoot, are we gonna be okay? You know, like having that financial security. So thinking about those things, because like you, I want to be able to buy my dad a home one day. That's one of my big, huge, scary goals that makes me want to puke. It makes me want to cry. And not that my dad lives in a nice house, but he's never been a homeowner. And I've seen that man work himself to the core, and he has really bad rheumatoid arthritis now. And he's still working so dang hard, and that kills me. And guess what? I have a solution in the drive. So will I sacrifice some rank to go chase that bank? Heck yes, right? But you have to figure out what you're working for, because we're not waking up. Julie Voris said this to us a few weeks ago on a call, is we're not waking up to hit Success Club, right? We're waking up for those big, huge goals. I have 3 kids. Whatever they want to do, I want to be able to say yes. I was able to re-enroll my daughter into dance when it opened up without thinking about what the monthly tuition was. We're getting ready to open back up for sports, God willing. Don't have to worry about those. That was a big stress for my family. Having 3 kids in sports, that was like, those are the things that would keep me up at night. Like, how are we going to afford, you know, almost $1,000 in registration fees, like once they're all in sports? And yes, I was future tripping, but like, I've built a business that's created the flexibility in my time schedule, but it's also giving us financial freedom. We are not debt free yet, but we will be. I don't have $1 million business yet, but I will. I haven't hit every goal that I want, but I don't have a time. Like I'm not like, if I don't hit $1 million by 10 years, I'm out of here. No, I'm not going to do that. I'm going to continue to show up every single day and work this business like I invested $150,000 to get started into it. And you guys should too. And your social media is how you're going to connect with more people. And I know it's really hard to think that you're worthy. Sometimes I struggle, I struggled with that, is like, am I worthy of this? Like, but you are. There's not a mistake that you're on this call tonight. There's not a mistake that you're in this business. This is an opportunity that will transform your life if you allow it to. But you have to work just as hard on yourself as you want other people to. And you have to show love and engagement and show up for them and use things to serve as purpose. It's going to be way more impactful going and talking about what you did to push through that workout you didn't want to do than it is just to post a sweaty selfie and be like, got it done today. Go tell your story. And one thing I learned from Eric Worre, who's like the most powerful man in network marketing per his book. But he taught me, kind of like what Abby was saying earlier, is go tell your story and you talk about where you were and what emotional point did you have before, right? Anytime you're storytelling, what solution did you find? And how does that make you excited for the future, right? If you're going and talking about those things, I used to go and talk about, like, I remember posting like, we're ranked number 872 in the network. We're ranked number 325 in the network. I was so excited. Why don't I talk about those things anymore? Right? I was so excited about those things because I started thinking about the comparison of, oh, well, someone else is ranked 100. Someone else is ranked 25. And she came in after me. So don't let comparison on social media tear you down. Look at the way I've shown up to this call tonight for you guys. That's how I show up in my social media. It is, because that's who I am. And people are going to be more drawn to your authentic self than just showing up every 3 days with a post on social media where you're perfectly posed and hair's done and all the things. One of my favorite things about following Jess and Abby is that they're the same as me. They're going to show up as their messy, true, authentic, Jesus-loving selves and be unapologetically themselves. And guess what? It's not going to get everyone, but it's going to direct the
Anything else that you guys are like struggling? And we've talked about photos, we've talked about captions, we've talked about like the deep why of why we show up, and follow, like, kind of engaging. Are there other things before we let you guys go that you have questions on? It doesn't even have to be related to this, like invites, convos, anything. Hashtags do matter. You need to use all 30 and drop them in the first comment below your post. I actually have some on my phone. Like, I will just type them into the notes section on my phone. I have them saved, and like, then I can just literally copy and paste. I'll do 3 or 4 dots. Like, I'll do a period, return period. So it like goes down. Maria, you can go look at like my captions if you want to, but they need to relate somewhat to what, sorry, the dog's going on, to your post. So like if it's a post with my daughter in it, I would have a lot that's like girl mom, toddler mom, preschool mom, homeschool mom, like all, it won't necessarily, it might be postpartum weight loss, but it won't be like weight loss journey. So kind of make them tailored. Again, because I do a lot of faith-based stuff, I will have like Proverbs 31 women and well-watered women and grace makers. And I get those by looking at, again, other accounts that are not Beachbody coaches, but similar to mine in the niche, kind of pulling from those, trial and error of seeing what's working. You don't want them all to be like millions of views. So don't do like, I don't know, mom life, do like girl mom life or something that might be a little more niche down. But yeah, hashtags do matter for sure. Yeah, Shalene's training, I've learned a lot. Jessica turned both Melissa and I onto that, and it's been honestly the best $27 because social media is changing constantly. And so I personally just don't have time to be on the algorithm and figure it out. And that's what they do. So and it's like little 5 to 7 minute trainings. So we can post the links in our team pages for you guys. I've shared it before, but I can repost it for you guys too. Other things? Anything? I have to shout out Maria. She is not my PS coach. She's in my downline, but she just hit Emerald this week. So that's super exciting. So you're doing great. And Maria, you can correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe you have lost close to 100 pounds. If not,
I'm so proud of her. I'm freaking out.
Yeah,
I'm here.
Audrey's
I'm
her
here
coach.
cheering her on. And she's like a sneeze away from Diamond this month. Like a sneeze, you guys. Like she's so close. And so she's gonna be really shy right now. But yes, Maria, tell them what you've done.
Yeah, Maria, shout yourself out. We're gonna make you talk. Or you can type it. Or Audrey will tell you. Her mic mode unmute. I can't unmute you. I'm not sure who the host is. Jess, are you the host? Can you unmute Maria Gomez?
There we go. I think that worked.
Okay, you're good, Maria. You can go.
Yeah, I wonder if it won't work. It says she's unmuted on my end.
Yeah, I can see that she is too.
Hmm.
Well, Audrey, if Maria can't talk, will you just shout her out?
Yes, I will. So sorry. I'm like in my house, like trying to get ready for like Bible study. And I'm just like, you too can do this. I'm like, hey, hold on, my kids are watching TV and I'm like making dinner and getting ready to leave for Bible study, but I wanted to hop on here. So this is another example, you guys, that you too can work your business and be a mess. But yes, I will shout out Maria. I am so incredibly proud of her. She has seriously blossomed, you guys. And this is what I feel like as a just business, like as a leader and just as getting started myself as a new coach almost 2 years ago. This is the best part, is seeing other people just come out of their shell, discover who they are, what they're about, and do the authentic work to see that just come together. And Maria has done that. She has lost 100 pounds this past year. She completed 9-week Control Freak. She is no longer, she was diabetic and she is now not. I mean, diabetes, it doesn't just go away, but like she's managing it. Like she no longer has to be on medication. She is completely turned her health around, and she's done the same thing for her sister. So their health, their family, like all of that is being impacted. And now she's taking things to the next level, which is sharing the opportunity even more. And she signed up, I think, almost 5 discount coaches in the past week. Like she is after it, she's hustling, and she has stepped into just the opportunity to help others. And I'm super proud. I'm super proud of her. Like I told this because like I don't even care what happens in my business like this month. I'm like all about what these ladies are doing and the investment. And when you get to that point, it's just the coolest thing when you feel that way about your challengers and your people, where it's like about them and succeeding. You all benefit, you all grow. I've grown as a leader. Maria's made me better. Like she's making other people better. And she went from like posting hardly ever to now posting almost every single day, which is confidence. And yeah, I could go on for like hours, but my chicken is going to be like dead. So anyways, just be consistent, you guys. You have to be consistent and be confident about it, because you are making an impact even when you feel like you got like 2 likes. Like people are watching, and it's just like the right moment that you don't want to miss. So that's all I have.
Yes. Audrey is like my granddaughter. Maria's like they're not even like my kids, and I'm just so proud of them. So awesome. Anything else, you guys? Then please, like, we love shouting out your wins. These are the biggest things. And like Jess said, you're only a new coach once. And so it's an honor to be able just to share the bumpy roads we have. You can tell we're all total hot messes. I got Paw Patrol playing in the background. Is there anything else? So my challenge to you this week, it's halfway through the month, right? So Success Club, non-negotiable, like that. So go show up in your stories, and really, like, if you have not introduced yourself, if you've not shared your why or your story publicly ever, or if it's been a few weeks, go do that. I want to challenge you to do that sometime between now and next Wednesday. Like in the next week, really just share, and you can do a post on it, but also maybe go live about it, or maybe do a few slides on Instagram stories. Like it doesn't, just because you write a post doesn't mean you can't explain it in your stories, but actually get real deep with people and talk about like, here's who I am, here's where I came from, and here's why I do what I do. And I try to share those at least once a month, like fairly often, or more than that even, so that your new followers will get to know you. Because if they just walk into Michaela's life now, right, Michaela, they don't know what you've been through. They're just like, oh, it's so easy for her because blah, 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 not knowing the backstory. So go share where you've come from, talk about the obstacles that you've overcome in your journey, and how Beachbody, how coaching, again, it's not the solution to all of life's problems. It's not the salvation that everyone needs, but it's an amazing tool that you have. So talk about what you have to offer, the community, the solution, and how it all ties together. And then go invite boldly and with passion and excitement from that. Not everybody's going to say yes. You're going to have people ghost you. You're going to have people say no. That's just a part of it. It's not about you. It's about them. So take your emotion out and then report back in and let us know how it goes. Sound good?
Thanks for being on tonight, guys.
Thanks, ladies.
You're the best. Have a good night.
Bye-bye.
Bye, guys.